And Dacadoo, we do health scoring. So we are creating an integrated view of a human's health. So we integrate over 120 different devices. So it can be your Apple Watch, it can be Garmin, Strava, Fitbit, you name it. And we create a health score.
Welcome to the Excellent International Leadership Podcast. Your host today works with the world's leading experts on international leadership, helping them find purpose and implement their vision. She's a master certified coach and facilitates a mastermind for CEOs of international companies. She's the author of 3 books and works with Nestle, Novartis, and even the United Nations. She's especially good at helping executives fast track to the C-suite. Welcome, Dr. Katrina Burrus.
Peter Ohnemus is an innovator, a creator, a builder of 5 companies. His latest company is Dacadoo Health Score. He received the Entrepreneur Prize of the Year in Switzerland by EY. What can he tell us about the next generation of digital life and health? Artificial intelligence is affecting all of us and will disrupt the way we work. How does he see ChatGPT playing out? How does the current market correction of digital startups impact the sector? What was his motivation to create 5 different companies? Let's ask Peter Ohnemus. Welcome to the Excellent International Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Katrina Burrus, and today we have the privilege of interviewing Peter Ohnemus. Peter, welcome.
Thank you so much, and welcome to all of your listeners today.
Great. So I'm going to ask you a little bit about your career, because your career is a little outstanding. You've been doing so many things. So please tell us about it.
Well, of course, when it's your own career, you don't think it's outstanding, but basically, I started out in the chemical industry, working up in Denmark with a chemical coating company. Then very early in my life, I got in contact with computers and found computers very interesting. So at the time, we were looking at the oil industry and how you could increase the speed of oil tankers with the coating. And so we were, very early on using, personal computers measuring the coating on the side of the boat under the water. So a long story short, that brought me into the whole database industry. I founded my own software database company out of Switzerland called the SQL Group, merged that with Sybase. Sybase was a spin-off out of Berkeley University, so they bought my company. And then I helped build Sybase in Europe. And after about 7 years building Sybase from scratch up to a $1.5 billion company, I left Sybase and invested together with some other people in a company called LogicWorks. So LogicWorks was a spin-off out of Princeton University. So both LogicWorks and Sybase went public on NASDAQ and were very successful technology companies. And I thought, well, I can do this myself. So I founded a telecommunication company doing IP multicast. And this is what you are using when you watch Netflix. So it's basically point to multipoint, so streaming out. And this company became very successful. We took it public on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange and ADRs on New York Stock Exchange. And after building that company, I founded my own investment company. And then I started investing into sustainability. And in 2004, we then founded Asset4 with Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch to create sustainability rating. In 2009, Thomson Reuters came knocking at the door and wanted to buy the company. And so we sold Asset4, which was doing sustainability rating of public quoted companies, so the world's 4,000 largest companies, looking at their water usage, energy usage, legal claims. And today, all investors are, of course, looking at ESG, if they like it or not. Some people think it's a political issue. I believe ESG, which is environmental, social, and corporate governance, is all about how efficient is a company operating. And then left Thomson Reuters and then founded in 2010 Dacadoo. And Dacadoo, we do health scoring. So we are creating an integrated view of a human's health. So we integrate over 120 different devices. So it can be your Apple Watch, it can be Garmin, Strava, Fitbit, you name it. And we create a health score. The health score is a number from 1 to 1,000. Why did I come up with this crazy idea? Because health is the largest industry in the world. And we spend over $10 trillion alone in America, $4 trillion this year on health. And nobody has ever put a number on. So if I ask you, how do you feel? People say, good. How's your health? They say, good. But if I say to somebody, I'm, weighing 100 pounds, everybody knows what a person that weighs 100 pounds looks like. I'm not saying I'm weighing 100 pounds. Or if somebody says I'm 50 or I'm 40 or whatever. So people have very easy to associate with numbers. And so we created the health score number from 1 to 1,000. Today, we are in 40 different countries. We are in 18 different languages. And we cover millions of consumers with our digital health engagement platform. So that was a little bit to my background.
So thank you for that. I'm curious, why the name Dacadoo?
Well, Dacadoo comes from when you compose music. So it's the fourth rhythm of music. So Dacadoo, Dacadoo. So if you are in rhythm on the dance floor, you look cool. If you are outside the rhythm, you look ridiculous. So if you are in the rhythm with your health, you have a good life. If you are not so healthy at some time, so we try to keep you in rhythm with your health, with your lifestyle. And the cool thing about Dacadoo is you can turn it into a verb. So you can say, did you Dacadoo today? You can turn it into a currency. So we are a point system as well. So how many Dacadoois have you earned? And you can call your users Dacadooers. So, it's a word you can play with. And we think it's pretty cool.
Great. So it got my curiosity. So tell us, Peter, how are you seeing the next generation of digital life and health playing out? You're well positioned to have an opinion.
Yeah, as I said, I personally believe health is one of the most important issues in the world. If somebody gets ill, it has an economic impact. It has a family impact. So I do this as, I decided for second half of my life. I was a bit lucky to make a little bit of money in first half of my life. So I believe that health is super important. I believe that chemistry or biology and computing power is coming closer and closer. And so in digital health, over the next 5 years, we will see what you call generative AI or machine learning have a major impact on medicine, on medical models of outcome of people's health. So just like you use a navigation system in your car when you drive into a new town, you're going to have a lifestyle navigator, and the lifestyle navigator would tell you when you wake up in the morning, Peter, you didn't sleep so well, or Peter, your heart rate is a little bit high today. So basically, health is for many people a black box, and we are trying to encipher that black box and make help for people to understand where they are standing in society and help them have a better and healthier life. That's why I founded Dacadoo.
So in some ways, you're letting the individual manage their health much more than being in a black box and having doctors tell them what to do and when to do it.
Yeah, we are missing 10 million health specialists right now globally. That's going to grow to 30 million health specialists. When you go into an emergency room in a hospital, you easily cost $3,000 to $5,000 just walking over the doorstep. And, if we look at the UK right now, You have 7.2 million people on the waiting list. You have over 100,000 doctors striking. So I think our healthcare system, which is very largely built after Second World War, which is a welfare healthcare system, it's coming to its limits of capacity, and it's coming to its limit of individual talent available. So it would be about doing more with less money, doing more with less resources. And we have seen the disruption in entertainment, retail, banking, etc. And I think that disruption is now coming to healthcare. And as I said before, we will all get older. So the demographics is changing. You have every day in America, 10,000 new people that are becoming member of Medicare and Medicaid. Imagine what that means in the long run. So all I'm saying is the system that we have today was not built to what we are servicing today. So it's a very significant challenge, but also an opportunity for mankind.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So how do you see ChatGPT influencing the overall economy, and where do you see it?
That's a very
Its
interesting
impact.
question. Yeah, I was just in Athens. I just came back this morning, and there was 100 of the world's largest insurance companies meeting. And I was talking on, what's next. And of course, ChatGPT is a topic where they asked a lot of questions. So those were C-level, from large life and health insurance companies. I think many people are a bit heartbroken. And the reason that I say that is they fear it. And at the same time, they have the FOMO, the fear of missing out on ChatGPT. ChatGPT did not pass an actuarial test or didn't pass, any major medical test in a significant way yet. I think it has a big future. I think we have to go through multiple variations of it. What is scary is when it starts providing information, it does its, spinning out of information which is not correct. So you can imagine it cannot say to somebody, you now have a heart attack, and this person runs into the hospital and they have nothing. So what I'm getting at is, I think ChatGPT as a LLM model is fantastic. It's incredible how far we have come the last few years. It's a bit scary because you don't want it to spin out or provide crazy information. The problem are the costs. So if you want to train a large model with something significant, you probably have to invest 100 to 500 million. So it's not, there are not that many companies. I know that Microsoft and Google can afford it, but you get the point. The second point is data privacy. So if you use what we call an open ChatGPT, you need to connect it with the internet. If you connect it with the internet, as we saw with the executive from Samsung, suddenly there was confidential information coming out of Samsung from the research department that should never have been on the net. So I think three different areas we need to think about is cost. So how do we create relevant large language modeling world that doesn't eat, so much computing power and cost so much computing power to maintain? So that's one issue. The second issue is data privacy and open source. Why would somebody who invents something very cool put it on ChatGPT if it becomes open source? So I think intellectually, it's a big challenge. How do I combine the power of the internet and a public data world with smart ideas without it becoming open source? The third issue, which I believe is significant, is how do I protect IP? And let me share two thoughts. if somebody creates a song and puts it on the internet and somebody else creates a remodeling of that song on the machine, how can I protect my IP and I get my royalty as a musician? If I've painted a Picasso and somebody else, creates a submodel of that Picasso, I think you get where I'm going. We have never had intellectual laws that are describing generative and AI, machine learning, etc. So the government are challenged to their absolutely maximum. Models that we saw 6 months ago, and we've been programming AI, as you know, for 12 years, are already old after 6 months. Politicians are overwhelmed, and the technology people are, I think the people that go a bit deeper, they're also a bit concerned, where's this trip going? That it will
Right.
come.
I think,
I have no doubt.
yes.
But
And what do you think? Because a lot of listeners would say, how is GPT going to affect jobs?
yeah, I read an excellent paper the other day from the global chairman of research at JP Morgan. And, he was kind of pulled forward and backwards. And I can only give you his conclusion. He said, less talented people, and not in an arrogant way from his side, they will become smarter. They will become more efficient. So he believed that it would be a good assistant from knowledge, from communication, etc. The real issue is he put 71 different research papers that he had written onto ChatGPT to do the exercise. And he came to the conclusion that it was not good enough today. So
why was it not good enough?
Because there was too much information that was not correct. And what he said was it was too much cost and too much work to actually find the mistakes. And being JP Morgan, you can obviously not publish a wrong paper. And he's an individual that has a very respectful name. So to answer your question, I do believe ChatGPT will move some jobs, but it will also create other jobs. So maybe there will be a new job called ChatGPT controller, and I'm not making fun now. So basically, before you publish a report, somebody is the controller of ChatGPT. Is that somebody is, verifying information. And I remember, I'm of course a little bit more senior. When the fax machine came, everybody said, oh, there would be no more people working in the communication or in the assistant job. When the PC came, people said there would never be an assistant anymore. So all these jobs, in my eyes, have remained, but they have transferred into a better job. And, in the old days, you had people working down in the cellar in the photocopy department, and I'm not making fun. You would go down, and I'm sure you remember, and you would have in big companies just departments that were printing manuals and standing down without daylight. Those people today, they sit in a beautiful office and they have daylight, and they work with their word editor. So yes, jobs will get lost. Yes, things will happen, but other jobs will develop.
Thank you. And so how is the current market correction for digital startups impacting growth?
Yeah, it has been very hard. I've been in this industry all of my life in technology. It's the 5th downturn I have seen over those 35 years. I founded my first company when I was 23, and then we ran straight into
impressive.
The first crisis, and building a company, raising money, and then so you always have those circles. right now, there's no doubt that the whole digitalization industry and healthcare industry got hit very hard. We have probably seen around 50% correction on the pricing over the last 18 months. That's not necessarily a bad thing, even that I run a digital health company myself, as long as you have access to liquidity. So right now we have about 185 billion on cash on the sidelines in venture capital. So the cash is there. It's not being deployed because nobody knows, have we touched the button yet? But if we go back over those 35 years history, you would see some of the funds that have created the best returns were venture capital funds that were founded in 2000 or in 2008. So crisis, they invested, they had to invest because they just closed their new fund maybe the year before. So they deployed the capital in market corrections and thereby created higher returns. So I actually think, and I love the sentence from the good old Mr. Rothschild, who said, when there's blood in the streets, deploy your investments. And I think right now is the right time to invest. Prices are very squeezed, and that means you can do a good deal. Investing at the top of the market means that a lot of less intelligent capital gets invested, and that creates, I mean, at the end of the day, it's supply and demand. And right now it's tough out there. It's not funny to raise money for startups.
What? Okay, but good advice. I'm going to go and invest in startups and the digital company. So you've created 5 different companies. You built them. Just on a personal level, what is your motivation to create those companies? What gave you the energy to go through that and the curiosity?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been very curious. When I was young, I founded my first company when I was 17. It was a ski travel agency out of Copenhagen. So I wanted to go skiing. Before that, I went to school in Switzerland. So I loved skiing, went back to Copenhagen. And then I told my older brother, why don't we rent a double-decker bus and, start sending young students down to Italy? At the time, Italy was cheap and great skiing and good fun. And so I've always been curious. I always wanted to make a difference. When I founded my company with 23, people told me I would never make it and didn't give me a chance. And that made me, more wanted to succeed. When I founded Dacadoo, many people said, what does this guy want? He's a software person. He hasn't studied medicine, and he's now going to tell us how to score risk. He's not an actuary. And today, we service the world's largest life and health insurance companies and hospital chains and retailers. So I think, it's a drive. It's your curiosity and willingness to go the extra mile.
Thank you very much, Peter. Where can people get a hold of Dacadoo's services or you?
Well, I mean, I'm obviously on LinkedIn and have quite a few followers there, so they can just contact me over LinkedIn, or they can go on Dacadoo, on the internet, and there they can also find out more about Dacadoo.
Thank you very, very much, Peter. Most interesting.
Thank you to all listeners, and I hope they found this little interview or story interesting. Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience. Most appreciated.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much.
Thank you for listening to the Excellent International Leadership Podcast. You can subscribe to all future podcasts at excellentexecutivecoaching.com and select podcasts. Join us each Thursday to learn more about the latest trends in leadership techniques and bring your leadership to the next level. To learn more about Dr. Burrus's coaching programs and the International Leadership Mastermind, use the contact form at excellentexecutivecoaching.com.